November. This month I am doing an acrylic set instead of my usual gel polish. I got this set, Magic Sand, a 12 color acrylic set from Tones, and I first heard about this off of Ninja Nail Fairy's YouTube channel. She has an amazing review on this product, so I'll link that below if any of you guys are interested, and let's get right into it. So to start off, I will mention that I do already have acrylic on all 5 of my nails. I used a peach cover acrylic to do an overlay on all my nails. So that is going to be my base opposed to a clear acrylic base, which is normally what you would put underneath if you were doing a colored acrylic set, or in this case, a glitter acrylic set. So as you can see, I took a pretty wet bead and I started that off at my cuticle, and now I'm taking a second bead and putting it right at the end, tapping it down, flattening it with the belly of my brush, and then swiping down to make sure it's completely smooth. Since it is glitter and I'm not going to be capping this with a clear acrylic on top, we want it to be as smooth as possible, so instead of filing and removing all that glitter, I'm just buffing the surface to make sure it's as smooth as possible before I put my gel top coat sealer on top. And of course, before I do put my gel sealer on, I want to make sure that there is no dust on the nail, so I'm just wiping it down and then applying my gel top coat on. So after curing my gel top coat in my LED light for 45 seconds, I'm taking a cotton ball and 70% isopropyl alcohol and just wiping off that inhibition layer off of the nail. I'm just going to finish the rest of my hand now the exact same way I did my thumb, and then I'll meet you back to show you how I did the 3D acrylic poppies on my ring finger. If you'd like to skip ahead, I'll leave the time in the description below.
Invincible.
Because I've already top coated all my nails, I'm quickly just going to file where I'm going to be putting my acrylic design on to make sure it has something to stick to. It will not stick to the gel top coat, unfortunately. So here I'm taking the smallest acrylic brush I own and I'm dipping that into my red acrylic powder. With 3D flowers, you want the acrylic balls to be as dry as possible, so that means less monomer and more polymer. So I'm trying to form spheres on my nails here, as you can see. I'm trying to keep them as elevated as possible. And right before they're done curing, I take the tip of my brush and I push my brush back. So with the belly of the brush, I'm flattening it out into little petals. Then I'm just going to do the exact same thing here, just on the other sides for the last 2 petals. With this, it is a little bit difficult to keep that ball from touching the other petals, but just know they're going to be flattened out anyway and overlaying over that, and that's going to make the flower look more realistic when the petals overlay rather than being side by side to each other. And if I could give one tip for someone for the first time creating acrylic flowers, it would be to always keep the tip of your brush on the inside, the middle of the flower. That way your petals are going to seem more 3D and more realistic and kind of curl up on the edges like a real flower would. And now I'm just going to create 2 more flowers going down the side of my nail, and then I'm going to add a few petals in the spots that are blank. And of course I am checking in with my other hand since I do want this to be even, and making sure that everything is symmetrical and perfectly laid out spaciously over my nail. So here I'm taking some of my black acrylic and I'm finishing off the center of my flowers. This ball I actually did make a little bit too big. When I was checking my other nail I noticed that. So I tried to take some off, and as you can see I had a little bit of trouble doing so. If this happens to you, just soak your brush in acrylic monomer, swipe it back and forth, and it'll literally just melt away. And then I'm going to be repeating that same step on the other 2 flowers that I have there. And if you notice when you pick up your ball of acrylic that it is too wet, you can touch your brush to the side of a piece of paper towel, and that will soak the acrylic monomer out of your brush, thus making your ball of acrylic a little bit more dry and harder and easier to work with.
Invincible.
And then because we did that filing earlier to make the nail surface rough so that the acrylic would stick, I'm going in with a fine detail brush and just taking a little bit of top coat and filling in all those spaces around the acrylic flowers. And for this nail design, I'm not covering the flowers because I do want them to stay matte, but if you do like the shiny look, you can just go ahead and apply it with the regular nail polish brush and put it all over the surface of the nail, and then of course cure for 45 seconds under your LED light. And here they are, my November Remembrance Day nails. I hope you guys really like them. I tried to do something simple that almost everybody can wear. So if you did like this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to me for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.